It's time to save, New Jersey. New Jersey's Clean Energy Program is your guide to rebates and incentives that can save hundreds, even thousands of dollars for businesses and residents throughout the state by making smarter energy choices. Start today with an energy assessment. We're lighting the way to a clean energy future. Join in at njcleanenergy.com or call 866-NJ-SMART.
All right, so welcome everybody to Steam Tank, and we're going with the theme here on Steam Tank is designing and engineering for a sustainable future. Okay, that is primarily what Steam Tank is about, amongst other things like entrepreneurism, problem solving, problem-based learning for teachers, design challenges. This is a program that has been going on in conjunction with the U.S. Army for the last 4 years. We're going into our 5th season of Steam Tank. We've seen thousands of teams with an open-ended design challenge just crushing it. The kids are at the very core of this competition. I think it's the largest competition in the state of New Jersey right now that we've seen anyway. So,
this page is just some of the funds we found.
I've been with New Jersey School Boards Association for 9 years. I've been in education, formal education, for 26 years, almost 27. And I was a classroom teacher at Tech Ed and Educational Technology, but I actually served on the board of directors for ANJEE for a couple of years. I was on their advisory team for a while, so I've been connected with ANJEE for quite a number of years in different capacities. I've been at school boards for like the last 9 years developing programs originally for school board members to teach them best practices in STEAM and sustainable schools, and it's morphed into so much more. My colleague and partner in crime, would like to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Sergeant First Class Edwin Morel. You can call me Eddie because, yeah, all right, it's just easier. I've been in the Army for 13 years. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I've deployed 3 times to Afghanistan. I love my job. I volunteered to become a recruiter, mainly so I can come back home and speak to kids that I could relate to, you know, because I grew up in the same environment. I know a lot of these struggles that, you know, the youth in urban communities are going through because that's where I grew up. But at the same time, I understand that college isn't for everybody, you know, which is why a recruiter does his job and tries to get kids to join the Army. But at the same time, I also pitch education. We partner with school boards because we want to humanize the Army. We do a lot more than just, you know, tell people to join the military. We provide a lot of scholarship opportunities that aren't service related. You know, we have the Army Educational Opportunities Program that provides internships and externships to students from K through 12 throughout the summer that allows them, you know, to grow their educational resume. On top of that, you know, we talk about the Army marketable skills, but as part of the Steam Tank team, the Steam Tank community, I do a lot of professional development alongside John and the school board. We do leadership training, resiliency training, which coincides with social and emotional learning, which is a big main focus in the world of education. I am personally a master resiliency instructor in the Army. We do a lot of goal setting, how to battle counterproductive thoughts, the negativity bias, so on and so forth. And it's something that we take from, which was taught to the Army by Penn State University, and we break it down so that it's modules to where we can teach you as educators and also your students. You know, we do a lot of anti-bullying programs within schools as mentorship programs for the students. If your schools and your students are part of a Steam Tank team, we provide subject matter experts that help guide the students throughout their process as they're going through and developing their inventions or their solutions to real world problems. So, again, thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. Glad you called Eddie. So, at the very core of Steam Tank is entrepreneurism and problem solving and an open-ended design challenge. The students, you can see that I'm not going to really follow this. I wanted you to have this as an informational sheet just to take it along with you when you leave. But These are some of the main points on here of what it is, how it's done, who's involved. And this is only the tip of the iceberg on what STEAM Tech represents. We have partners like the NJSBA. We have Eco Schools, National Wildlife Federation. We have partners like that. ANJEE is sponsoring the prize money. But at the very core of this is the students. The students are crushing it. You can go online on YouTube and look up NJSBA STEAM Tech, and you're going to see video after video after video of student presentation on what STEAM Tech really represents. And it's amazing what the students are coming up with. This particular session is not too far off of the environmental theme which STEAM Tech already has. So what we're going to do today is we're just going to just a few more words on what STEAM Tech is, because you can certainly read this, go online and find out more about it. Our contact information is on the bottom of this. If you're actually going to participate in a mini STEAM Tech challenge today in groups, you're going to do what the students do, only going to do it in probably like 45 minutes, okay, to come up and brainstorm. And you're actually going to pitch your great ideas to us. We're going to recruit a couple of judges, hopefully, and you're going to do the same thing that the students do. So what happens, and I'll just give you a little framework of what STEAM Tech does. So it opens up, or how it actually is run. It opens up applications in November 9th this year. Okay, we usually opened up a little bit earlier this year because of COVID. We didn't want to open it up too early because of all the craziness that's going on right now in the school systems. Students submit a concept-only idea or invention or something that they feel strongly about. Once that happens, we process it internally with the Army and the school board staff. We do a preliminary judging of them, and then they get the yay or a nay. And the ones that advance on to the regionals, and in the past, the regional competitions would happen in 3 days in March. One north, south, central, where we would get literally hundreds, and in some cases, I don't know, 1,800 people would show up at a competition. We'd have 700 kids pitching ideas in front of judges all day. Now the cool thing about the judges is the judges become not just like, this is not by any means, and I want to say this as a disclaimer, this is not Shark Tank. Although the judges are judging the students, but they're not there to tear the kids apart. They're there to encourage them. They're there to inspire them, give them ideas and suggestions, because they are the content experts. They're subject matter experts. Army personnel this is our relationship, by the way, has been incredible. There are so many Army personnel, the colleagues, I call them colleagues and friends of mine, that have serious backgrounds in technical, academic skills, unbelievable. I mean, like Eddie, for example, is going for his PhD as a psychologist, right? I mean, incredible. This is the kind of level that we're dealing with the Army. Those skills will be transferred to the students in STEAM Tech as mentoring. So the judges then becomes mentoring. We have a whole mentoring system that we're putting in place and have been put in place for a while. This year it's going virtual. This is the first time, for obvious reasons, we're going virtual. But what that means is we can expand STEAM Tech out, and we're going to be judging the kids once the preliminary kids get judged in March and April. So during the 2-month period, we can literally judge for the regionals hundreds and hundreds of students. And then I don't know what 2021 looks like, but we usually have the finals at our NJSBA workshop in Atlantic City. And that's a really kind of exciting venue, because then it's this big, convention where there's 10,000 people there, and in our iSTEAM Green Command Center where there's 3 stages set up, and we have elementary, middle, and high school pitching their ideas all day for 2 days. The kids have a wonderful experience, and then of course the winners get some prize money, first, second, and third. We also have special categories as well, where we're looking at the human-built environment, or technology, or media and pitch and presentation skills, and we're recognizing those students as well. So this is really all about the kids, surrounded by, and Eddie said it earlier, our STEAM Tech community. We are building this community of not just school boards, and not just the Army, but a whole mess of other people and collaborators that are good for the kids and can help the kids. We surround them with them so they can be better kids, better problem solvers. And guess what? At the end of the day, if a science teacher is running STEAM Tech, well, maybe they know this, and maybe they know a little bit more out of their content area. But if they don't, it's not up to you as the teacher to know everything, and it's not up to you as the teacher to actually guide the students so much. This is an open-ended design challenge. You are, as a teacher, you become the facilitator only. You can coach them, you can evaluate them, however you want to do that, as a grade. Some schools are doing it as a class, where kids come in as elective and everybody breaks up into groups, and that's their 2 or 3 months that they do it. Others are doing it after school. It's done in a variety of ways. It's up to you how you plan on doing it if you want to get involved in your own school. But That's Steam Tank in really the nutshell. There's a little bit more information that comes also with the playbook. And the playbook is about a 40-page playbook which talks about problem project-based learning, what I call solution-based learning. I've kind of taken the problem-based learning and spun it into solution only. And then it also has design challenge information in there on how you could potentially do this with your class. You could write lessons and units of study if you would like, just by the playbook alone. So once you are accepted into Steam Tank and you get into the regionals, you receive an electronic copy of the playbook, and you can do whatever you want with it. But it's good information. You definitely can take off and run with it from there.
I think it's important to mention, when we talk about the Steam Tank competition, a lot of people like to, tie it into, okay, you either win or you lose. We don't go up to these teams, regardless of what age your students are in, and tell them, hey, your idea sucks. You didn't win. All right. Once you're part of the Steam Tank community and you have you're tied to a mentor, whether it's in the Army or another educator, we're a team the entire time you're in this community. Whether your team makes it to regionals or to finals, it doesn't matter. The number one thing that I've learned being in the military is in order to be a leader, you need to learn how to take feedback. All right. So if your team's idea doesn't make it, we're literally guiding them through the process until it's time for them to run again. Maybe they want to stick to that idea, or maybe they want to just change it completely. We're walking down. We're going through the process together. So I don't want anyone to think that you go into the Steam Tank competition and your students join and they don't make it, and then that's it. Like, hey, you guys suck. See you next year. That's not how we do things. Once you're part of the Steam Tank team, that's it. We're in this together. All right?
Yeah, that's a really good point, because we are supporting the teams whether they make it or not. We want to have them part of the Steam Tank community. We also are going to start weekly WebEx Steam Tank community meetings where the teachers can join at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and go for a 1-hour WebEx and meet the subject matter experts, talk to us, our team, coach the students on it. Everybody's open. Anybody can go to these WebEx meetings as well. The other thing too, that we do have a Facebook page, and if you could search for NJSBA Steam Tank, and you'll come up with the Facebook page where there's lots of pictures. And yes, I have to admit I didn't put it on here, but the other contact information is on the bottom where you can go to the website as well. Find out more. An email. Just send us an email, ask some questions. I hope this is for you. I'd like to just jump in right into the Steam Tank competition. So we definitely didn't come here to lecture you. We just wanted to give you a quick, snapshot of what Steam Tank is and the impact that it can have on your students. And before we jump into Steam Tank the competition, I want to give you an example of one of the teams. It was a team, 5th grade girls. They actually won the competition last year, among others who won in their different categories. They came up with an idea called the Pro Stretchers. It was an expandable shoe, so the parents don't have to buy shoes every year. It has to be sustainable, so they had to look at the materials and the process on how it's made. They had to look at the carbon footprint of that, life cycle assessment, things like that. What they did is, in part of the Steam Tank rubric, is that you have to reach out to a subject matter expert to help your team. So again, teacher facilitates and reaches out. And by the way, just can't go and talk to a company, for example, without permission of your administration. Make sure that they know what's going on in your classroom. When I was in the classroom, I used to get in a lot of trouble because I used to do things just, I thought it was a great idea. Didn't talk to the admin. Don't do that. Talk to your admin. Let them know this is an open-ended competition where they need to be. You need to be, everything has to be up on the table. So the girls reached out to the company, Skechers, and Skechers designed their shoe for them, a prototype. And they won the competition because that piece of it was so powerful. They came up with a great idea. They reached out to a company. They agreed to do the prototype. And the one thing they didn't do is they didn't have what's called a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA. So if you're doing something like this, your students could potentially go down the road of patenting something that's never been done before. And you need to know that these kids, if you unleash them, the kids are amazing with their imagination, their creativity. So that's what's so powerful about Steam Tank, besides all surrounding with subject matter experts, is that the kids can do unbelievable things. So right now, we're going to jump into Steam Tank. If you look on this, you're going to see what the steam tank challenge. This is what you're going to do. You're going to form groups of maybe 3. You guys can decide, probably 3, no more than that for this group. If there's 4, that's okay. We have some materials up front, notebooks, things like that, paper, we have poster board. You're going to design this. This is going to be a concept only, so don't think you have to make a prototype because it's not going to happen. So, as a team, you're going to identify a real-world problem or situation that needs resolution, modify a product to make it better, or invent something that does not yet exist.
They know now.
And we're going to take about, what time is it now, about 11? 11 until 10, till 11:30. We're going to take about 20 minutes to just, this is going to be a quick brainstorming, come up with your ideas, but the big thing about this is it has to be sustainable. It has to have an environmental theme. So whatever you come up with, you have to justify why it's good for the environment.
You break it down in teams of 4.
Teams of 4?
Symbiotic relationship.
How about you guys right here be one team? Unless you want to pick your own team. Sonia, you're going to participate in this? You could be 4. No?
Put down somewhere on their pages.
Tell you what, just break it out into 3 or 4, okay? And start to brainstorm. Come up here and get any supplies that we have. We're limited on supplies, but you're welcome to whatever we have. Start to brainstorm.
No idea.
That we could take even like an N95 or something like this, and instead of making it disposable, make it autoclavable so we can sterilize it and reuse it. So that would be kind of, I don't know how we would do it, but that would be my first thought, is to take masks medical grade and be able to reuse instead of just throw them out. And when, you know, because you go to the dentist, they don't have a brand new set of tools, right? It's been autoclaved. It's been, so can we do that? Well, that's what we would need to kind of expand on.
It can't be fabric, it can't be paper.
So reusable.
It's got to be something like plastic.
Yeah,
like
reusable medical grade mask.
medical grade mask.
You know, like a plastic water bottle, but you know, you just shove it down in the water and just have pontoons around the edges or something. But you know, bigger where you can fit a bunch of kids.
It's like a real life aquarium. Because like you got the ponds here that you can showcase them what's inside the pond. Seal layers. So you can teach ecology, you can teach ecosystem, you can teach.
Or like use one product versus another product. I do that all the time. Where I'm like, I don't know what to do.
That would be really cool if somebody's, you know how marketing, right? You go into and you see a package and it's supposed to be organic or it's supposed to be environmental healthy and all these pictures on the package look great. And you went to that app, yeah, not so much.
Right, that's true. And making the thing to keep masks, reuse them.
I think companies are investing in stuff because you think about even sanitizing. Back in spring,
So much
everybody
bigger
was
now.
desperate for their bottle of Lysol, but now I know my park commission invested in UV things that can come into a room or things that can mist an entire room.
Sanitation is a bigger field
Picturing
than
a
ever.
dryer, but it's UV. So the masks like tumble.
Spin.
It's like UV.
That's funny.
But
Okay, that's funny. The
that's
visualization.
an idea
I was
too,
picturing almost like a stove of sorts.
Right, like a rotisserie.
Like a rotisserie,
Like a
yeah. So it
mask
gets all, and like almost like a sphere, so it hits like a 360.
Yeah.
Some sort of rotisserie
idea.
stove.
Yeah, the
What do you say?
rotisserie.
Use
I
a
was gonna
tanning
say we went
bed,
from tanning
like
bed to now we got a
some
rotisserie.
sort of mixture. Yeah.
But I like it.
Right. Or maybe just even its own specific handheld thing, where you could like buy this cube thing that does it all.
Yeah, like right now, like with COVID.
Because you can fit a whole bunch of little sensors and stuff inside small areas now.
I think everybody needs about 5 more minutes.
But eventually, it's going to just
They're a lifespan. I'm going to pick you up when we get back for a report.
This is a good process.
Assuming that, you know, the company that you're, that would assume, you know, best case conditions in terms of like whether or not the company that you're at right now, the trash thing, like actually bothers to follow protocol, stuff like that. And
I would have to research UV light bulbs.
Yeah, I don't know what the
I don't know
environmental
anything about
impact
UV
of
lights.
each.
You don't know that right now, and that's okay.
That
That's
would be
okay.
the next
Right,
step.
but mirrors made out of
Yeah.
sand,
This
made
is
out of
the
glass.
type of feedback
That's
we
pretty
will give the
sustainable.
students.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You know, the rotisserie part's made out of metal, okay? Can we
where's
get
the
the
metal
metal?
from?
Curveball in there and
Where's
say
it mined from? Life cycle assessment
does-
is something that if you haven't
do
done
the
with
mirrors
students, it's really
affect
cool to do.
And
how the
that's
UV
when you
light
get it,
works and
'cause I
how
know,
it
like, stainless
sterilizes.
steel has
But you as a facilitator would tell your students, you know, you have other systems here. Okay, this is cool, this is the mask, but what about the stainless steel you just said you're going to use? Where's that come from? How sustainable is that? You can't make a sustainability product that's on a shelf, which is an unsustainable system to make it. It doesn't work that way. It has, the whole system has to work.
Yeah.
And we're in a compromised situation right now on our planet. If something is organic or sustainable, what is unsustainable along the system? We don't see that. It is out of our field of view. But that's why this is so cool, because you could say, do your homework on this, because that's the best product that you could possibly make. And then they have to market it stuff. There's a marketing piece to this too. Your students have to market it. And somebody will say, really, that's great, I really want that product. Some of them are actually in patent. And
wow,
we have one lawyer, we're trying to get more lawyers, patent lawyers on our think tank team.
That's really cool.
So they can coach the kids on, you know, patenting, trademarks, things like that. Because that's part of this. Entrepreneurism is part of it.
Because like what you were saying with the shoe example, I was like, I hope they patent that. Yeah. That's a great idea. Like,
I don't know where they're at. That was last year. The one thing at a small team that we have, we're not tracking this. We really should. I mean, someday I think in the future we're going to start tracking where these inventions go, or these ideas. And some of them are really cool. Some of them are social, and there is no products per se, it's just a system. I mean, I'm telling you, so many great ideas that the kids have. It's just so impressive. So, in this case, we usually have just the judges. Stephanie's going to be a judge, I'm going to be a judge, and Eddie's going to be a judge. Okay, and we're usually asked questions, and we will. But we're going to open this up to like one question or two questions from you, because I know you're going to want to ask questions when you hear their presentation. So, ground rules are that, as Eddie said before, be confident. The steam tank teams and the students who don't project, that they don't believe in what they're pitching, don't usually do well on the judging score. Even if they got a great idea, part of the rubric is pitch. So this is your time to pitch that you believe in this. Now remember, this is concept only, so they don't have everything ironed out. You can't possibly do that in 45 minutes. Now you can be your confident self.
Okay, so we realized looking around, one of the big problems facing the world right now is how many of these are being used and how many of them are being thrown out. What is the environmental impact of especially disposable mask usage? And it's both the fact that they're being thrown out, right? It's a lot of waste, it's a lot of trash. They're also ending up in parking lots. Every time we go to ShopRite, they're everywhere. And also the raw materials that are actually going into making them. How much of these raw materials are we using up? So what we're looking at is how can we, these are great for medical personnel. I wear it because I'm asthmatic and I can breathe nicely through it. How can we reuse medical grade lightweight masks? Instead of throwing them out, how can they be reused? So we came up with our ideas for a system, and we highly believe in this is awesome, is a mask sterilization system. What we're thinking is this is big. This is a big thing, maybe the size of a room in a medical facility where we have UV lights throughout the room. We have mirrors inside our system so that the UV light is also reflecting, so we can have less bulbs, less electricity usage. We have almost like a mask rotisserie where we can hang up the masks and they're spinning around as the UV is going around so that we can hit our masks from all angles, get it nice and sterilized, 360 degree cleaning. Our target audience, at least at first for this, would be medical facilities, hospitals, VA centers, labs, dental offices, doctor's offices. For a doctor's offices, especially those you have the medical complexes where you get, all these doctor's offices, you could maybe have an office space that they're set aside. So this is our pitch. We'd really like to see this come to fruition because I really hate to see all of these in the trash.
Questions? Eddie, Stephanie, questions?
How are you going to assure that it's actually effective when it comes to killing bacteria or pathogens?
We would have to test for bacterial presence. So when it would come out, you would aseptically have to remove it. You could do bacterial swab testing to make sure, bacterial, viral, to make sure you're not growing. The same way you go to the doctor, you get your throat swab, and yeah, you have strep throat, or no, you don't. You could do the same thing with these masks. You do swab testing, you're making sure you're not, you don't have anything alive on it.
So I have a question. So one of the things, and I know you don't know this now, but there's a carbon footprint to this system that you're setting up.
Correct.
Right? So those things, the UV lights, the mirrors, the rotisserie, that's going to cost money, it's going to take energy. That has to be sustainable too. So you have your work cut out for you to put the system in that's not going to make things worse. So you're saving the masks, but you're creating a larger carbon footprint. So that has to be researched through. And this is a typical question that the judges might ask you,
Right.
because they know from the presentation that the students might not hit that yet.
Right, and I would look at what's the carbon footprint of creating all these masks versus the carbon footprint of running some UV lamps.
But you have to pitch that to make it believable and marketable.
Right.
Okay.
And the only thing we really have without, spending more time on it is the mirror idea was kind of, and I kind of came from that, was with the mirrors more reflecting of the lights, as she said, fewer UV lights. So
exactly. Good.
That was kind of our rudimentary
materials.
idea towards reducing it, but like we'd have to definitely get an expert.
Right,
And
and
you'd
less
also
raw
want to
materials as well.
I'd also like to see it be scalable too, that not necessarily something as large as that. If you had a small facility,
Like a smaller
you could have a
office.
small
Sure.
device. Maybe
Right.
a countertop thing for your
Right,
doctor's
minimizing,
office.
right.
And the cost comparison.
Right.
So how much does it cost for each of the
Right, like in a
masks
hospital,
and
you
in
might want one that's a
comparison?
whole room, but in a smaller office, you might just want one that's
Right. And the mirrors, every time light bounces or goes through an object, it reduces its energy. There's a reflection or refraction loss. So you have to do that if you were doing that as well. It might not be as intense, and it's going to really kill COVID or other things for that matter.
Consider the life cycle of the mask. How many times can you sanitize before you have to go?
Right, good. All right, good.
Good job.
Thank you, good job. Next group.
I really like that.
All right, you guys ready?
Yes.
So before we start, one of the things we do with Steam Tank is the judges will actually talk to the students. We've had students come up and be shaking like this because they're in front of maybe 100 people or judges and parents and teachers. The judges will calm them down. So the judges will give them like 30-second calm down. This is okay. Just be yourself. Speak loudly. They'll calm the students down. And then most of the time, everything's okay. So that's what Steam Tank is about too. The judges are really cool with the kids. So when you're ready, you go. Steam Tank isn't about you as the instructor telling the students what to do. Like in other words, you're going to do this. You're all going to go. Leave it up to them and facilitate the process. So this is about ownership, right, and engagement of students, and that's where the learning takes place. Not just environmental learning, but career-ready skills, all those other things that we talk about and should be teaching in schools. But you let them decide. If you don't like it, or if it's illegal, or something that goes against the rules, then you facilitate that process, right? But you let them decide. Your presentation and your critique.
Okay, so our product is an app that quickly calculates the carbon footprint of a product. So a lot of the time when you're like out at a restaurant or like going shopping, you might want to use or pick up something, buy something that you're like, oh, is this really that good for the environment? And so this app would just be able to really quickly like take a picture or like scan the barcode and figure out what the carbon footprint of that item is. And so for us who might not know, the carbon footprint is the amount of carbon dioxide emitted due to the consumption of fossil fuels. So there are a couple apps that already do this type of thing, but it's not completely the same. Sarah's going to talk about it in a second, but our app is going to allow a couple really important things. So obviously we want to look at the location of where you are at the time, because that's important for transportation and whatnot. So it'll allow location services. It will show where the item comes from and the transportation types that were used and how much fossil fuels have been used throughout that transportation. It'll also show what types of materials were used to make the item. And then it could possibly recommend other apps or ways to offset the amount of carbon, the amount of a carbon footprint that is used. And ways that we would offset are either like ways that you can reuse other things, so like reusable water bottles. Like if you buy this item, you can reuse your water bottle 3 times to offset the carbon footprint of whatever it is you bought. Or like plant this many local natives or something like that. And then we would also want a little education within the app. So we would say like what a carbon footprint is, and then facts about recycling, and then the other 4 R's, which are reduce, reuse, refuse, and rot, and so how potentially those other 4 R's could be better than recycling, because recycling is different everywhere. And then we were going to say that the partnerships we would potentially want to talk to would be UPS, because we know UPS is struggling. SPS. United States
USPS.
Sorry guys. Yeah, USPS. There we go. Because we know they're struggling right now, and so this could potentially bring them back into like the forefront, because a lot of people care about the environment. So we could be like, if you want to partner with us, we could help figure out carbon footprints that come from the things that you're delivering. And the American Zoo and
Association of Zoos and Aquariums.
Sorry.
That's my job. Sorry, that's my world. And the Federal Works Administration. So that's what all the DPWs are under.
Yes. And then, so the other app that is somewhat like the app that we were talking about is the palm oil app, which she's going to talk about really quickly.
Yep. So I actually have an app of what does exist.
1 minute, and that's it.
Yep. I have an app for what does exist regarding recycling. It's called Recycle Coach. So I need you to come on over here. So Recycle Coach is not very effective. It shows you what type of recycling happens in your area. It gives you reminders for when to do it. Tells you what you can recycle at home, but we want something that people can use on the road when they're at restaurants, when they're shopping, whatever. So the palm oil app is more what we would model it after. The palm oil app, I hope everyone can see that. You can search for products, you can scan for products, you can actually speak out about them. It gives you recommendations for who to reach out to with regards to officials or companies that you might want to write to, asking them to make a change, or also just to share your information of what you've learned. And then there's also the section that's educational. So this is where we would have all those factoids about, why recycle, why reduce, why rethink. Why bans are not effective, because they can ostracize other people, marginalized people, such as disabled people, and then an FAQ about how to use the app and other recommendations.
Okay, cool. I like it. Good concept. Really good concept. I can see it. This is what happens with Steam Tank. These things become real. Like you can see these things in the marketplace or helping out an organization. So I don't have any burning questions. I like both presentations. They were awesome, but I really want to make sure that everybody has a chance to present. So thank you. Great job. All right. So when you're ready.
Happy Friday, you guys. So for today, we came up with an app where it's kind of like an interactive hiking, kind of virtual field trip thing, where it will be free for everybody to use. You could get it on cell phones, laptops, iPads, so that for your classroom, kids could have access no matter where they are, in school trips or in the classroom. What's going to be different about our application is that the teacher, if you guys go out on a hike, is going to be able to throw a camera on, and so that they can virtually show the students what they see. So if you're walking around your school building, or if you toured Duke Farms for a field trip, you could go and say, look at this flower, and the teacher has the ability to show them through their camera onto the kids' devices, so that it helps with that visual input. If kids can't see, they could zoom in a little bit, they could see the fine details of this product. Another thing that's going to be different about this app is that there's going to be color filters to it. Some students are colorblind, they can't necessarily see blues, greens, reds, things like that. And so when you're talking about certain flowers or certain birds, they might not be able to see the color differences. So this app, allowing you to change the filters, allows the students to better see these animals and what you're talking about. That there will be a GPS built into the app, so that teachers could put down points and markers, so that if one student is moving really quickly through it and one student is farther behind because they're in like a wheelchair, they just don't maneuver as well, the kids could go at their own pace. So you're not holding one kid back, or you're not trying to speed up the kids so that they could get through this whole experience. They kind of go at their own pace, they get to learn, they get to enjoy the experience instead of feeling rushed or quick with it. That there will be a database too, so maybe different classrooms could all collaborate and they could build this one massive database of resources that if you're teaching about Duke Farms, somebody in California or somebody else in Texas could showcase this beautiful place, and that the different schools and the different kids get to see different areas. So it'll give you that ability to go different places. So maybe the kids here could see what England is like, what the terrain is like there, how is it different. You can explore the different animals with that.
What the culture is like.
They get to see different animals and places. And then you could do like specials with the application. So like if Duke Farms having like 100th anniversary, maybe they create like a really cool special behind the scenes tour of buildings that they don't normally show to the public, and then they could use that to raise funds for a future project going on in the area.
And it would have the Bluetooth connectivity, so kids with hearing aids that are Bluetooth, they could connect to their hearing aids.
Good. I like the special needs connection there. These kids need some serious help, and technology is one way to bring it to them. Wow. Good. Awesome. Any final questions? Because I know we're past the mark right now, and I know that we're standing in the way of lunch. So any couple
quick
questions?
Feedback for them there. So we have a lot of training programs in the military that is similar to what you guys are pitching, and I would suggest considering virtual reality. All right, because we have soldiers who are colorblind as well. Some are hearing impaired also, and we use virtual reality to help train when we don't have funds to actually go somewhere and train. And believe it or not, the Army does run out of money. Okay, so just something to add in there. All right?
The other thing I would say is there a speech to text? So if the teacher's talking,
Correct.
have a feature where they can add those words start popping up, like almost like closed captioning. Because I work with dyslexic kids, there is no way they're going to be able to write anything down like that. So another idea.
I also thought of a cultural piece too, like talking about GPS and location. What if there was a cultural piece, another learning element to that?
That's what we use it for in the Army, cultural training.
Right, that's awesome. And I'm glad you brought that up, Eddie, because this is what it's about. Steam Tank will surround the kids with the subject matter experts who, there's somebody at the Army has virtual reality who's going to give their opinion about what also could be done with this project.
Virtual reality is amazing. We have ranges that we qualify weapons with through virtual reality. And it's literally just to learn muscle movements and muscle memory.
So, great job. Great job, everyone.
Great job.
That concludes this presentation about Steam Tank. Please consider talking your kids into or persuading them to join Steam Tank. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me personally. I have some business cards on me, and also the contact information is on the handout that I provided.
Where'd you get that?
Enjoy. Take care.
Where'd you get that?